Hello and welcome to FinextraTV. We're at RiskX in Rome with Mastercard. Joining us in the studio, stepping away from the event, is Laura Quevedo, Executive Vice President Fraud and Decisioning Solutions. Hello, Laura. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
It's really good to have you here talking about some very interesting topics at the heart of a lot of discussions over the course of the event. We're going to be talking about new scam trends and network level intelligence and also how Mastercard is tackling those scams. But first, could you bring us up to date and give us a lay of the land and tell us how the convergence of cybercrime and traditional fraud is shaping the threat landscape for financial institutions?
Yeah, it's a great question and something that is really very important to talk about today. In the past, when you thought about a fraud, it was happening at the time of payment. And that's really where, the first part of the fraud was occurring. Today, fraud is happening so much further in the transaction flow than ever before. We see that often the fraud starts with a cyber attack where credentials have been compromised or other information has been taken in order to get confidential information about a consumer or the cardholder, and then it plays out through the entire transaction. By the time you're actually seeing a payment go through, that's the very last step. It's everything that's happening in front of it. So it's really important to be looking at information that's coming, from all different angles and way before that actual payment transaction takes place.
All right, thank you for bringing us up to date. There's no doubt there's been a real shift. So what would you highlight as those main scam trends that we're seeing today and what financial institutions should be aware of?
So I think the real innovation when it comes to scams is really around AI technology and what that has meant to financial institutions and really the payments industry in terms of the ability of fraudsters to trick consumers or trick other, participants into giving up confidential information. By enabling that technology, when you have things like a deep fake and you have, a credential injection and different kinds of technology that AI is powering, it enables scams to happen all across the different channels, whether it be an account to account, maybe a crypto transaction. All of that information is being powered by really sophisticated technology that makes it very difficult for anyone to know if this is a real transaction or a real conversation I can trust, or if I'm being scammed. So it's really important that financial institutions are looking at patterns, transaction behaviors, and understanding, is that what I would expect from this particular consumer versus, is this really the consumer?
So it's AI-generated threats that need to be front of mind for financial institutions. Some strong advice weaved in there as well. And I know you've spoken a lot in the past about network level intelligence as well. This is really interesting. Could you expand on that and tell us what is Mastercard's role in helping tackle these scams more effectively?
Yes, and for us, we feel that's one of the key differentiators that we have as a payments network, is we have a lot of insight and information that scans all of these transactions that have come across our network, right? We've been in the business for a very long time, 60 years of, evaluating, managing, and analyzing transaction data. So we have a lot of experience in that area. But the real key is the types of information that we're able to collect. Mm-hmm. We're collecting information not just on one particular financial institution, but on what we're seeing globally, what we're seeing across multiple financial institutions, and also across multiple rails. So we're not looking just at payment card data. We also are looking at account-to-account data in areas like, for example, in the UK, where we see about 90% of the account-to-account transactions that are coming through. So we have all of those data points, and bringing them together helps to provide fraud protection and insights to everyone in the ecosystem. This particular institution may never have seen this type of fraud before, but we know it's out there because we've seen it here. We can help protect them before it gets there. So that's what's really important. And on top of network data, what we're seeing is becoming more and more important are signals that are coming from elsewhere in the ecosystem. Not just once the transaction hits your network, but what's happening in the cyberspace, as we were talking about a little bit. What's happening in social media, what's happening in other areas that impact a transaction even before a payment is being made. Bringing all of those insights together are critical.
It's fascinating to see how the threat landscape is evolving and interesting to see how Mastercard is staying ahead of the curve. Laura, thank you so much for sharing your insights. It's been really interesting. I'll let you get back to the event.
Thank you so much, Anna.